Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. January 7th, 2019. First up, if you had your passport stored by Marriott International, we have some more bad news for you, as it turns out that there were 5 million additional passports hacked than the total which Marriott initially gave us. That's 20.3 million passports were stolen through the hack announced earlier last year. Certainly not good news for Marriott aficionados. Next, from MarketWatch comes a story that one might think would be pretty straightforward and obvious, yet it turns out that currently, or at least up until this week, members of the House of Representatives could sit on public boards over companies they regulated and held hearings on. I'm sure you recall that there were several representatives this past year that turned out were actually investing in companies that they were overseeing in their role in congressional oversight. Well, the House has changed this to ban its members from sitting on corporate boards. The Senate had previously banned this as well. It seemed to be a pretty obvious conflict of interest, yet now Congress is just getting to it. Next up, Carlos Ghosn, he formerly the chairman of Nissan, is going to finally appear in court on Tuesday. It's not clear whether or not he's going to actually say anything and what's going to happen in this court appearance, but he's entitled to a court appearance for potentially being given bail and have the charges read against him. This will be the first time he's made a court appearance since his very high-profile arrest going forward. It's going to be interesting to see how far the Japanese will go in prosecuting him. The news about his activities since his arrest has certainly not been good. He was clearly guilty of a lot of insider trading, lots of use of corporate funds for his own personal benefit, and I'm sure there were probably other things because, as Warren Buffett has repeatedly reminded us, once the light of day shines in dark corners, lots of cockroaches scurry about. And finally, Pacific Gas and Electric. If you're an old rock and roll fan, you remember that group. Well, this is actually the electric company, PG&E, announced last week that it intends to shake up its board of directors to respond to concerns that it could face up to millions of dollars in fines for the most recent spate of wildfires in California. The company also announced that it was adding these directors to give a fresh perspective and hopefully bolster its expertise in the area of fire safety and others. Of course, no word of whether they'll put a compliance representative on the board. That would certainly be a good first start. The company also said it was reviewing its structural options to implement changes within the organization that might be needed going forward. It's not clear what PG&E can do when they have to deliver electric services out to areas that are prone to wildfire going forward. As I previously announced, I'm going to continue the daily compliance news now into this new year of 2019. If there's any interesting things you would like me to talk about, please email me and let me know. I'm at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. Your feedback is always welcome. You will check out some of the new offerings on the Compliance Podcast Network. Jay Rosen and myself have started a new podcast series, Popcorn and Compliance, a look at compliance through the lens of the movies, that premiered Saturday, December 8th, and will post bi-monthly on Saturday for your entertainment and enjoyment listening pleasure. Finally, Mary Shirley and Lisa Fine have premiered their new podcast, Great Women on Compliance. I hope you will check that out. It's a great podcast series. We have several other offerings that we are in production and will go live after the first of the year on the Compliance Podcast Network.